Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, today we are coming from Revelations chapter 12. And for Revelations chapter 12, I was trying to bring up something on my computer, but it doesn't seem to be cooperating with me. Revelations chapter 12, and for Revelations chapter 12, the English Standard Version chapter headings I have are the woman and the dragon. The other I have is Satan is thrown down to earth. As for the definitions of the day, mine came from sorry, my computer is not cooperating with me today. Mine came from OneNote. Here we go. Mine came from verse number 2, verse number 4, and verse number 8. In verse number 2, for the verse number 2, the word was travailing. And travailing, y'all forgive me, but this computer is doing, it's usually I'm doing it over my phone, but this is what happens when you try to do something something new. For this particular one, travailing means pain or laborious effort. And so this scripture says, and she being with child cried, travailing, painful or laborious effort, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. As for verse number 4, in verse number 4, that word was devour. And so the word devour means to eat up, to eat with greediness, to eat ravenously as a beast of prey or as a hungry man. So that scripture says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So again, devour means to eat up, to eat with greediness, to eat ravenously, to eat as a beast of prey or as a hungry man. So that was devour. The other one was prevailed, which was in verse number 8. And verse number 8 says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found anymore in heaven. And prevailed means to overcome, to gain the victory of, to be forced in, to have effect, power, or influence. So again, that verse says, and prevailed not, neither was their place found in anymore in heaven. So that means pretty much that they weren't there anymore. They didn't have their power of influence anymore. They were just out. For this particular one, as I mentioned last time, I was going to start taking out things that was of interest to me. And I found it interesting. Again, this is the one time where I didn't put the verse, but here it is right here. In verse number 16, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she hath a place prepared of God, and they should feed her there 1,260 days. The reason why I found verse number 6 interesting is because that's the same amount of time, and not to say that they are correlated, But that's the same amount of time that was talked about in verse number 11, where in chapter number 11, where in chapter number 11, it had mentioned, and again, chapter number 11, where it talks about, and I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. And so I just found it interesting that this particular one had the same amount of time, and they should feed her there 1,260 days. Another thing I found interesting in this particular chapter is that the verses just continue to go on. And let's just say, for instance, starting with verse number 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. And to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place. And then again in verse number 15, and the serpent was cast out of his mouth water as a flood unto the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. Verse number 16, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth. And so it was like, no matter what was thrown at this woman, something was given in order for her to endure, in order for her to escape the trials and tribulations per se. And we oftentimes say, God is the same, he does the same thing. And so it was just reassuring to read this, to know that no matter what's making it personal, no matter what's to be thrown my way, God will make a way of escape. God will make a way for me to endure. But is my mind stayed on him, or is my mind trying to figure out how I'm going to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I going to take this situation immediately to God and say, Lord, because God has a solution for us, right? But as we know, he's not going to force his way onto us, right? So it's a matter of, are we going to be reminded that God is our help, that, God is our escape? And so I just found it interesting that it seemed like, they were throwing everything they could to wipe this woman out. But she was always given a way to get away from it, to escape from it. So that's pretty much what I got from this particular scripture or chapter. With that said, the floor is open for sharing.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
The verse 9, from verse 9 of chapter 12 was saying, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which delivered the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. This is, the beginning of creation, where the old devil was kicked out of heaven. And a third of the angels, they were also kicked out also along with him. And verse number 11, and it said, and they overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimonies, and they love not their lives unto the death. And we are Christian, and we go through this right now. And but we know that we have salvation through Jesus Christ. And we know that the battle is not ours, and we know it belongs to God. And he gives us strength, and our strength comes through testimonies. And verse number 17, it said, and the dragon was wroth, he was really mean with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keeps the commandment of God and have the testimonies of Jesus Christ. So it's just that it's just talking about trying to make war, trying to make it hard for us, and trying to make us just doubt God. And and we got to know that the battle's not ours; it belongs to God, and we can't let we can't be let it be that we be doubted, because we know that we know God. We
Yes.
know God, and we know too much about Him, and we can't let that happen. We can't let that go on to doubt God, to doubt God. But this is what I got out of it.
And that end part made me think of the song, "You Can't Make Me Doubt Him. I know too much about him."
Yeah,
It makes me think like, what mindset was the woman in? You know what I'm saying? To where
right,
if you think about it, like I feel like all she knew was God. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Like, yes,
Right.
I'm here. I'm not gonna worry. I like, and it just showed like how God made a way.
Yes,
It didn't show any thing to where like she was fearful or worried or concerned. She
right,
just trusted and believed that God would make a way, is the sense
sure,
that I got, right?
right,
And so
right.
yes, that's where we should be in our lives. Like, yes, you can't make me doubt him.
That's
And
right. Yeah.
so interesting because that's how I live my life, and I'm not sure if anybody else goes through this, but sometimes Satan will allow things to come into your head to make you think why do you believe in
Mm-hmm.
eternity? Why do you believe that there's life after this? Like, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what is it about the firm foundation? Like, that's my, if I don't have Christ, I have nothing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
everything might seem hopeless. Like I told you
Mm-hmm.
guys in the past, I've had experiences that were very supernatural for me. You know what I'm saying? That confirms that, oh yeah, this is real. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like yes, like I'm not gonna argue with anybody. You believe what you want to believe, you know what I'm saying? But like, just like I know, if I look in the mirror and I see your reflection and I see all your reflections and I see my reflection, if I look in the mirror without a name tag, I know my reflection is me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? That's how sure I am of Christ. I know that that's my God. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I
Yes.
thank you certainly for sharing that with us. At this time, the floor is open again for sharing.
Okay, for me, Satan, he think he can do and does God do, but God is stronger than he. So he's there to protect us, and we have to pray and believe that God can carry us through whatever we're going through, like that lady that the dragon thought he had. But there's a word said to look in the mirror at yourself sometime and see what. But God is powerful. He's more powerful than God, and he can do things that God, that the devil think he can do, but he can cast him out too.
Yes. Yes, agreed. There's no God like Jehovah, you know.
Yeah.
Uh who like reflecting on that power thing is what I'm reflecting on.
Mm-hmm.
It always makes me think about, back in the day, gosh, there used to be a commercial where let's just say something, it was nasty to eat, and they was like, oh, I know who'll eat it, and they were like, Mikey will
Yeah.
eat it.
My, yeah.
Will win this battle. God will win this battle. He has all the power. You know what I'm saying? No doubt about it. Oh yeah, I can't do it, and I probably can't call on so and so to do it. They've never been skilled in this area, but it's got to be done. God can do it. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I thank you certainly for sharing that with us. Again, the floor is open for sharing.
Good morning. I have two words that I picked out in chapter 12, verse 3. I think that's where it was. And another, yeah, and another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. So the word that I looked up was diadems. It's a age wealth crown or headband worn as a symbol of sovereignty, a badge of royalty. The other word is in um, chapter 11, verse 11, which says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they did not love their lives to the death. Overcame to be victorious, to win in life, achieve the desired goal, to accomplish the purpose for which God has designed us. And the scriptures are similar to the ones that you all have been talking about. Verse 6, which says, then the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And verse 12 is similar. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you will dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows. No, maybe that's not the woman. Anyway, so with verse 6, what I got up as far as making it personal, because it talks about, there was a place, God had a place prepared for the woman, and that they should feed her. So that said, okay, God has a place prepared for me, as a place prepared for us. And also in this verse, I also saw that God is our protector in the time of trouble, and He is our provider.
And I thank you certainly for that. It's interesting when you did that word that was in verse number 3. My mind was like, how did I miss that big word?
I was like,
I'm glad that you brought that to us. And then the part about God has a place for us. We again, this is an opportunity to reflect that we're not just here just to be here. There's a mission for our lives. There's a mission for our lives, and God is in control, and we know that we get the victory. And here is a prime example right here, this lady, right? Was protected by God in all areas, like the craziest of things, or even the craziest of things that helped her survive, giving wings. I don't expect us giving wings as an eagle, but I'm just saying, or that the earth swallowed up the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, more protection. Yes,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we would just trust and believe, and believe everything. And so here's that prime example to pause and think and reflect. What is that situation that you are, meaning me too, all of us, what is the situation that we are worrying ourselves about or overly concerned about? And now it's a moment to pause. This woman's life was in danger, right? But some of these things that we worry or overly concerned about is an endangerment in a sense to us. Maybe not necessarily to our lives. It could be, something for our loved ones or whatever the case may be. But we have to pause and God has a solution for that as well. I'm going to take that off of my brain and I'm going to deliver that back to God, and I'm going to wait on Him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do my part, meaning that if the Holy Spirit says, this is what you do, you pray. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because that might be our wings. You know what I'm saying? That might be the earth flood sucking up the water. He might just be,
That's
because
true.
we know in the Bible that there is an example. And for the life of me right now, I don't remember which angel came down, and I don't remember which one he came down to speak to, but was pretty much like 21 days, your prayers have been heard. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
just keep prevailing in prayer. We know that God is going to deliver. You know what I'm saying? He's going to
That's right.
provide protection and a way out of no way. We just have to do our part and trust and believe that He will protect us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yes.
We just cannot doubt. So I thank you certainly for sharing
Mhm.
that with us. Again, the floor is open at this time.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. The so I pretty much kind of got what several of you have, but the verses that I had highlighted were 7, 10, and 14. And I'm reading from the Contemporary English Version. But verse 7, a war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels were fighting against the dragon and its angels. But the dragon lost the battle. It and its angels were forced out of their places in heaven and were thrown down to the earth. And then down to 10, then I heard a voice from heaven shout, our God has shown his saving power, and his kingdom has come. God's own chosen one has shown his authority. Satan accused our people in the presence of God day and night. Now he has been thrown out. And then verse 14, but the woman was given 2 wings like those of a huge eagle, so that she could fly into the desert. There she would escape from the snake and be taken care of for a time, 2 times and a half a time. And for me, a couple of things that I wrote down from those 3 verses were the first thing I wrote down when I was reading it was no new thing. And it kind of made me think about what Pastor always says, like there's no new thing under the sun. You know, when I read this, just seeing how, you know, Satan at his doing what he does best, you know, basically is why I said no new thing, just trying to attack, trying to kill, steal, and destroy is what, you know, what he does. And then I had jotted down, he is always out to try and destroy God's people. And then for me, I wrote down that God always provides protection for his people against Satan. He will provide a way of escape when Satan tries to attack or use his powers. And then I just wrote that I must remember God's power over Satan. He is an all-powerful and all-knowing God. And basically, you know, from just reading the entire thing, that's what I got from those verses, and just kind of adding to what you all said, that, you know, even when Satan does try to attack or come at us, you know, he always provides a way of escape, and he always provides protection for us, you know. And for me, I just had to remember that I just need to make sure I'm focused and paying attention to receive that. And that's what I had.
Mm-hmm. And I thank you certainly for sharing that with me. Again, when you were talking, it brought to my mind again a moment for us to pause. I think about our prayer lists where we call out different names of our loved ones and things like that. And I honestly believe, I don't know how you guys feel, but I believe that prayer list causes me not to worry about my children, you know, because oftentimes you'll hear maybe pastor, or, you know, we just know it. Why worry about it if you're going to pray about it? Why pray about it if you're going to worry about it? You know what I'm saying? And so, like my kids aren't out here doing crazy things, you know, but as a parent, you just wish your kids were further along, or, you know, when you know that your kids have certain situations that, you know, maybe they just want to be grown and they don't want to keep reaching back saying, hey, can you help me in this situation? And so you're trying to lift your hand, let them work it out. And so at the same time, you know, I'm praying about this thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to why they trying to figure out how to do a particular thing. So that prayer list, and I don't remember, I know it was something Kiki said at the very end. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it made me think about why am I going to worry about it if I'm praying about it? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
God will provide, God will protect, God will deliver. I just need to go on and
Mhm.
mind some other business besides the business I done gave to God. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
thank you certainly for sharing that. I'm going to go around the floor. Reverend Lund, do you have any final words for us? If you're talking, it's not saying anything.
Sorry, I couldn't get off mute. No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Sister Teresa, do you have any final words for us?
No, other than, when Kiana was younger,
Mhm.
and, going to school and all, she liked those thugs. She liked thugs. And that kind of bothered me, a little bit though, but I took it to the Lord and I prayed about it. And, I know that God was going to straighten it out. And he knew that those thugs were not supposed to be in her life,
Mhm.
and it just make me realize that, I know God is powerful, and I know God, will do what you ask him to do, in your prayers and all. You pray and ask, him to turn your children around, he'll do it. And,
Mhm.
I just thank God for,
Mhm.
answering prayers.
Sister Teresa, that's a new word for us. Can you define thug? No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Yes. Oh,
Sister
yes.
Eva, do you have any final words for us?
Other than God can work it out, and just trust in God and believe He can do it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Sister Kaisha, do you have any final words for us?
I don't have any final words, but just thanking everybody for what they've shared going around, because some of what everyone has said has encouraged me this morning. So thank you.
Hmm.
Sure. God knows exactly what we need when we need it,
Yes.
So yes, thank you
Mhm. Yes.
certainly for that. I am going